Hello and welcome to Bristol Sport TV. In the next 10 minutes or so, we'll bring you up to speed on all of your favourite Bristol sports. But first, this week we had some special guests join us in studio as members of Bristol Rugby Community Foundation's Disability Journalism programme paid us a visit. It was the culmination of their 5-week programme, a programme funded by the Bristol Sport Foundation, and it saw students from the new Fossway Special School deliver their written match reports to camera.
Hello and welcome to the Bristol Sport TV.
And make sure you look out for them at this weekend's Flyers game against the Surrey Scorchers as they sign off their term with a game day experience, and they'll be interviewing Flyers captain Greg Street and player Mike Vigor ahead of the match. And what a big weekend it is for the Flyers. On Friday night, they head south down the M5 to renew their southwest rivalries against the Plymouth Raiders under the glare of the BBC Sport cameras. On Saturday, they return to the SGS Wise Arena to take on 8th placed Surrey Scorchers. Well, a pair of wins this weekend could see the Flyers head back up into the playoff places, but a cautious Coach K said they're just taking it one game at a time.
Yeah, it's a very important weekend. We've been working all year long for this. Plymouth game on Friday night and home to Surrey. Both teams at the moment like right around us in the league table, so it would determine a lot of things this weekend. But we've got to kind of constrain the process. We've got to take it one game at a time. Starting with Plymouth, they're a very talented team. They had a bit of a poor run at the moment. But they're playing at their home court and they will want to turn things around. Everyone is playing for a playoff spot right now, so we've got to concentrate on what we do for 40 minutes and come out with a big result in Plymouth.
And tickets for that game against Surrey on Saturday are sold out, but you can next see the team in action at the Wise Arena against the Leeds Force on Saturday, April the 1st. Just head to the website to buy tickets online. Well, just as the Flyers tip off against the Plymouth Raiders under the glare of the BBC Sport cameras, Bristol Rugby will be kicking off here at Ashton Gate at 7:45 for their Aviva Premiership clash against Gloucester under the lights of BT Sport. It's been a difficult first season back into the Premiership, and their forwards coach Mark Bakewell reiterated this week that they will be fighting until the very end to stay up.
I think all the boys have got their own levels of pride, and I think that's the that's probably the underpinning factor. I think that if you've got any sort of pride as a player and a person, you're going to keep fighting, and I think that our blokes are going to do that right till the very end, right till the 80th minute against Newcastle. And I'd be extremely disappointed if someone did, and really if someone did that, you don't want them in the team or you don't want them in the club. So we will fight to the end, and there's absolutely no question about that.
Well, to their female counterparts now, and last Friday was a night that 7 members of the Bristol Rugby ladies team will never forget. It saw them clinch the Grand Slam in Ireland as they beat them 34-7. Bristol's Sarah Hunter, an England captain, lifted the trophy.
Hopefully we'll get a little bit of recovery time before we start building to go down to New Zealand, where we'll face 3 fantastic times in New Zealand, Canada and Australia, and there's no harder place I don't think than going to New Zealand and playing. And last time we went there we lost all 3 games there, so we're very aware of the challenge that it will pose, and we've got some exciting games coming up. I think we get to play one of the games before the Lions play the Maoris, which will be a fantastic spectacle, and I think the buzz of having the Lions down there when we're there will really add to the occasion, and it's something we're certainly very much looking forward to before obviously we come back, and then again maybe a bit of recovery time before we look at the World Cup and what that brings about.
And just a reminder that final league game of the season ahead of the playoffs will see them take on Wasps this Mothering Sunday. Entry is free. Kick-off is at 2:45 at Cleve Rugby Club. Now, Bristol City Women have progressed to the quarter-finals of the SSE FA Cup after a 5-0 thrashing of Millwall at the weekend. New signing Millie Turner scored 2 on her debut for the club, with 16-year-old Lauren Hemp also adding 2 to the score sheet in her first start for the Vixens. Chelsea loanee Jodie Brett was the one to add the final goal. They now take on WSL1 champions Manchester City this Sunday at the Stoke Gifford Stadium at 2 o'clock for that quarter-final clash. Now, City put on a similarly stunning display here at Ashton Gate on Friday night after beating Huddersfield Town 4-0. It means City are out of the bottom three heading into this week's international break. And the break has meant that Lee Johnson, his coaching staff and players were able to take some time out for their annual charity golf day, aimed at raising funds for Children's Hospice South West and Bristol City's Community Trust. Some players can clearly swing a golf club better than others, and it was Lee Tomlin's team that triumphed on the day at Mendip Spring Golf Club. Well, I caught up with two of the competitors afterwards, Jamie McAllister and Dean Holden, in a slightly more familiar environment. Well, thanks very much, both of you, for joining us here in your comfortable zone, shall we say. I would like to think it is. It looked like it was 4 seasons in one day out there on the golf course.
Yeah, it was. It started off bright sunshine in the morning, t-shirt and whatever, and not much wind, and then it was raincoats and umbrellas were getting blown all over the place. It was a soggy sort of golf course, but it was a brilliant day. The lads loved it. There was a good turnout from all the players, which you don't always get. But the lads really responded. The staff were there as well, and it was good to mingle with the fans on the back of a decent result. And it was just a good day, and a lot of money was raised apparently. So
I think it's safe to say that it's been a bit of a roller coaster for both of you since you've joined Bristol City. Jamie, you were here as a player for 6 years, coming back, announced as the head coach of the under-23s last summer. And what was it like when you got the call saying, right, you're stepping up into the first team?
Yeah, I was surprised, but obviously it's nice to go up and help Dean on the gaffer, help him to the end of the season, see what happens. Just try and, I don't know, maybe a different view on it from my side, or well, to be fair, myself, Dean and the gaffer on the same page most of the time. But I think it's just a different voice as well for the players, I suppose.
I mean, I guess you knew Lee very well. What's he like to work with? You played with him as well. It's. I guess it wasn't too big a step in terms of you would have been around him anyway with your involvement with the under-23s anyway.
Yeah, well, we always, myself, Dean and I have been in the same office all season, so we're always talking, communicating. We're on the pitch next to the first team most of the time, so the step up wasn't that big really for myself. Just gets me closer to work with the first team players, the gaffer and Dean, so it's quite an easy transition. Yeah,
well, you've had a fairly nice transition. I think your first game was the draw, and then we've had a 4-0 win, so you've had an easy ride in. Dean, I think it's fair to say you've had slightly I think you know. It's been a slightly different welcome to Bristol City that you've had, hasn't it? It's been a tough old haul for you over the last few months.
Yeah, results wise, absolutely. Yeah. The other side of that, which people don't get to see, is working with a new staff, coming to such a huge club. At the facilities we've got, the infrastructure and everything that's going on behind the scenes has been fantastic. Obviously the Saturday, 5:15 result is the be all and end all, and absolutely should always be that. But it has been a challenge, but it's never easy. Macca will tell you, even as a footballer, how many times can you look back and it's been easy. Life's not like that, so it's a challenge absolutely, but one that, as Macca says, we're relishing. And if anything, the flag's flying a little bit. At times you feel like you're sort of face down on the canvas, and what do you do about that? Do you lie there and feel sorry for yourself? Do you prove yourself? And we come in every day, we work hard, we work as hard as anybody, we love doing what we do, and hopefully that sort of comes across to the players. We've got a good group of players who, the last couple of weeks, as you say, have sort of to get a few decent performances together, and that stands us in good stead now.
It came across very strongly in Lee's post-match interview, where he talked about, we had a very clear game plan, and it was fantastic to see that game plan executed perfectly. And I think he felt that was almost the first time that it had happened. The three of you have different ways of communicating, perhaps with different players, because in a team you've got so many different personalities. You often need different tones of voice. One of you might react better with one player than the other.
Definitely, it's with different characters, different individuals, different personalities.
And some strong characters.
Yeah. And it's up to us to get the best out of each individual player, because that obviously benefits the team. But as Dean just said there, it's getting the best out of each other as coaches as well, challenging each other in the right way, and make sure we deliver the sessions every day to help the lads. And with the gaffer saying that about the game plan, we'd obviously worked on that, the analysis team, watched the videos, gave all three of us our own input on their strengths and weaknesses and how we could combat them, and then delivered it on the training pitch. lads understood it, and then it's them that cross that line, and it's up to them to deliver it.
Well, both of you have talked about keeping fit. You know, it hasn't been that long since you were both retired from playing as professional footballers, and you took part in the Bath Half Marathon. And rather disappointingly, you could all run it very easily. I would be disappointed if you couldn't run 13 miles. How much fun was it?
For me, it was the fear of the unknown going into it, because I'd never ran more than probably 3 or 4 miles leading up to it. We've not done any training really. Preparation was horrendous.
I think it's fair to say you didn't do any training, did you? you not?
It was the total opposite to how we are as coaches. When we were preparing for ourselves, it was shocking. But that was what it was for me. You get through the first couple of miles, and then everyone starts to disperse, and then the crowds on the side kind of falter a little bit, and then you're on your own.
Yeah. Did either of you hit a wall or not? You just, I heard both of you just jogged on through like it was a training session. So much to many of my colleagues' disappointment.
I was very similar to Dean, obviously, because never done one before, so it's the fear of the unknown, and so you get an hour and a half to stand about waiting, nervous, thinking, oh, I've got tight calves, got tight hamstring, got sore back, and I ended up going for a bacon roll before the start of it, just to kind of relax me and get something.
Was that under nutritionist advice? Yeah, bacon roll.
Well, no. But then, like Dean says, once it gets going and once you're in the crowd and the atmosphere, like people on the side encourage you, and there's bands playing and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And afterwards, at the end of it, when I finished, it was like a real sense of achievement and doing something that I'd never done before, obviously.
We said to the players, it's incredible because there's live bands going at the side, and you are literally like, your body's literally giving in on you because you've never run that mile before. But it's my mate did the London Marathon, and it's the biggest cliche, and I can hate myself for saying it, but it's so uplifting when you come in, when you're struggling, and there's someone at the side giving some sweets out, and there's a live band going, and everyone's having a beer, and it's the atmosphere.
You weren't having a beer though,
no.
while running, obviously.
It doesn't have to, it just gives you a feeling.
Lift.
It's incredible the feeling you can get from it. And we go back to the players, and it's like when you see the tournaments in the summer, and you see like Northern Ireland and Wales last summer, and Iceland, and that feeling of it's powerful. It's powerful, and if we can create that as we move forward as a club, that, and it goes both ways, of course. The players have got to put performances in, but we find ourselves saying it. But when you've been through an experience and you feel it, it genuinely is a powerful thing. And if you can get that going, we've got a right chance.
Sport is a magnificent thing. Very best of luck for the rest of the season. And just a reminder that City will be back in action here at home at Ashton Gate on April the 8th. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time with more Bristol Sport.